Welcome down the rabbit hole, friends. We are here tonight to get to the down and dirty in discussing Brooke Arnold's most recent Ask Me Anything. Brooke Arnold is a survivor of growing up in the IBLP. She was a true blue believer until she finally left her home and started questioning the belief system she grew up with. She appeared in the Shiny Happy People documentary, and she's been making an effort to get out there and answer questions that people like you and I have about the Duggars, the IBLP, Bill Gothard, and the documentary series. I love this girl.
Absolutely, but I think one of the things that becomes really clear when you're watching the movie is that for as long as they've been in any kind of public eye, it doesn't seem like Jim Bob Duggar has had any kind of legitimate form of income other than selling his family out on TLC. Like, seriously, if you're going to have 19 kids, you need to get a damn job.
You need to check out Brooke's TikTok page. It seems like she posts almost daily, and she shares so much interesting information about the IBLP, her life experience, and the fact that it's possible that there's going to be a season 2 of Shiny Happy People. She is a great person to follow up with if you're as interested in the Duggars and the IBLP as I have been.
A season 2. I spoke to one of the executive producers this morning, and she let me know that the door is absolutely open for a season 2 and everyone would love it. The best way to make this happen is to make comments asking for a season 2 on Amazon's social media accounts.
But I know a lot of you aren't on TikTok, so I was super excited to find that she's also getting her Facebook page off the ground. Check her out, Trippin' with Brooke Arnold. Not only does she discuss all about the IBLP and all the things that we have been talking about for a long time here on this channel, but she's also doing this really cool cross-country trek in a van. In a van down by the river. And she shares information about her journeys. So getting down to it, let's take a look at the craziest question from Brooke Arnold's Ask Me Anything on Duggar Reddit Snark. I love hearing what she had to say. Okay, here we go, heading down this crazy rabbit hole. The first question that was asked of Brooke really rocked my world. Question: can you talk about why Bill Gothard never got married? Response: FYI, I try to be cautious about sharing stories that are not mine. However, I have explicit permission to share this from the person that it happened to. Bill Gothard did try to marry once. This was in the 90s. Guys, I had no idea about this. I've never heard of it before. Brooke says she was barely 20 and Bill Gothard was in his 60s. She has said that she would have agreed to it if it had come to that point. I've become good friends with this woman over the past several years, and honestly, she's wonderful. I'd marry her too. She is not from the US, and Bill plucked her out of a conference and convinced her parents to send her to the US to work for him. Oh, so gross. In her accounts of their time together, this seemed like an emotional connection, not just a sexual one. He approached the IBLP board about marrying her, and they said no. Isn't that weird? I asked her if she thought he loved her. She said, I don't think Bill is capable of love. I think I was his ideal. Oh, so interesting. She was unaware of this until later when a board member's wife confirmed it. A short time later, Bill attended her wedding to another man. I've seen the wedding pictures, and he looks like a Michael Scott character inserting himself into someone else's wedding. Wow, 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 wow. This is heavy tea, right? After being turned down by the IBLP board on marrying this woman, Gothard allowed her to be deported back to her home country. Sadly, because Gothard had her violating her visa, she is not allowed in the US to my knowledge. That makes me really sad because he stole that from her too. We have talked about this several times since Shiny Happy People came out, because Bill Gothard never marrying has been one of the biggest questions I've been getting. Wanted to share this first, but I'm going to write a long answer with numbered points to think why he didn't marry. It's such an important question, and I think, what was the deal with Bill Gothard? And it's still the biggest mystery of this piece. One thing I've been trying to understand for years. Wow, it sounds like there's so much like hidden stuff going on beyond, and we know this, beyond what we saw in Shiny Happy People, beyond what we've seen in all of these tell-alls, in all of the podcasts, and on my channel, on Without a Crystal Ball's channel. There's just deep, dark secrets that run deeper than anyone who has not been a part of the IBLP would ever know, right? That's why I love listening to Brooke Arnold. She's like a primary source about what happened. And it's great to hear from her, like this kind of first-hand information. As a side note, I'm just going to share what some other snarkers theorized about having to do with Bill Gothard never getting married. This snarker says, I theorize it was because he was a predator, plain and simple, and abusing other women and children would be harder if there was a wife around. Suspicious of him, abusing other women, and cheating on her. This would go against his teachings and remain faithful in marriage too. Not that having sexual relations with women he isn't married to wasn't happening already. I also wonder how much he disliked children if he didn't have any himself, but it's good that he didn't. I can't imagine him having daughters. I think it's interesting that Bill decided to go to the IBLP board. That's really interesting to me, right? Like, why would he have to do that? I mean, he's the one who created the IBLP, but I do wonder if something that was going on was that he was extremely interested in much younger women, and by the time he was willing to get married, he only wanted to take a younger wife, and the board was never going to sanction that because it might not look good for their PR. Okay, getting back to the AMA, I don't have the question that was asked here. I didn't record it, but it said something like, Brooke, what do you wish that Shiny Happy People, like, was there a story that you told that you wish would have appeared in the final cut of the movie? And Brooke responded with this. On a personal level, I told a story about the first time I ever shoplifted. I was around 14. When you're homeschooled, it's hard to remember ages because you have nothing to mark it off with. I was in a half-price books place, and I swear that a cassette of Little Earthquakes jumped off the shelf and said, you need to steal me. I was such a good IBLP girl that I had never even considered stealing before, but something in my gut, soul, higher self said I had to have it. That night, after everyone went to sleep, I listened to it on my Walkman under the covers. It's an album about female rage against patriarchy with a lot of religious imagery, and it absolutely changed my life. I heard someone expressing things I lacked the language to express myself but felt deep in my bones, and Tori was unashamed to be angry, unashamed to be sexy. Hearing her rage was the start of wanting to find a productive means of expressing my own, although I didn't realize it at the time. And she goes on to say that she wished that was in Shiny Happy People because she kind of had this idea that maybe Tori would watch the show and then contact her if it was in the show, which I think is kind of cute. I get that kind of wishful thinking, right? She goes on to say, and I think this is super interesting, on a less personal level, I would have loved there to be more time for Gothard's reach into prisons. Before I agreed to do the on-camera interview, I was passing my research along to production because I believe with my whole being that this is a really important story that must be told. I told them about God pods and how there have been multiple lawsuits related to chaplains. She goes on to talk more about this. I hope that this is in the second documentary, and if not, then Brooke needs to make her own documentary, and I hope she puts this on her YouTube channel. Brooke, if you're listening, please put this on your channel. Okay, here's another good question. What is the most unusual or bizarre medical advice you've ever received from the IBLP? Answer. I remember at the advanced seminar, there was a very, very long section about how long to wait to have sex after having a baby, and it was much longer for male infants than female infants. I was like 12 the first time I heard it, and the whole thing was so confusing and weird. One of the weirdest was Gothard said that you should keep a 35-watt light bulb lit in any room where a menstruating woman was sleeping. So at many of the training centers, the women also had to endure trying to sleep with the lights on, in addition to other forms of torture. Wow, that's crazy. As I came to understand more of Gothard's psychology and his voyeuristic sexuality, the more I came to wonder if this wasn't a peeping mechanism for him at the training centers. When I say Gothard is a voyeur, it's because he collected information, sexual information, from all of the girls that he harassed. It was a critical part of his pattern. If you look at all the public accounts we have, it's clear that Gothard had a structured pattern for his victims, which also included collecting some personal information on them. This was usually done through counseling sessions. But little Lego Finger had vast network of spies through the ATI family consultant system and the teachings which groomed for confessions. I'll share more about this in another question. Okay, here's a question about the Duggar family. Question: in your opinion, why is it that the Duggars still hold so much appeal in the Fundy community despite being disgraced? It was alluded to that Jim Bob has risen up the ranks since Gothard was forced out. Answer: I think they hold so much appeal for one primary reason: their singular visibility as the conservative Christian family. Kirk Cameron and his sister don't count. This is the only Fundy family anyone who matters in the secular world cares about. Fundys seem to have developed a parasocial relationship with the Duggars because of this. Fundys will always circle the wagons and defend each other. A fun little rabbit hole to explore this idea is Christian Law Association. This was a father-son legal team who used fear tactics to fleece Christians. Also see Gothard, Bill, and Michael Ferris. These groups helped to foster an already stalwart persecution complex among fundamentalists. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that I was taught that by this time in American history, Christians would be regularly sacrificed in NFL stadiums. They will genuinely believe that this is another form of persecution by a godless, secular, fallen culture. Yeah, Brooke is so amazing. And I could be misspeaking. I need to look into this more, but I'm pretty sure Brooke was heavily invested in creating her own documentary about the IBLP before Shiny Happy People approached her. And I think it was, what I remember hearing was like, it was hard for her to let go of doing her own kind of independent documentary, but she was willing to do it in order to further the cause of getting this type of information out in like the Hollywood stratosphere. Okay. So related to all of that, related to like getting everything out in Hollywood, you have got to hear what Brooke has to say about Mike Pence. I can't find the question, but someone asked about Mike Pence. And for me, you guys, I don't prescribe to being Republican or Democrat. Like, I'm really a very nothing is black and white kind of person, but we have to listen to what Brooke is alleging is a possibility about Mike Pence. Brooke says, Pence is definitely involved. He established Gothard God pods in Indiana prisons while still governor. I can prove that. Bill Gothard also told me personally that he prays with Pence regularly when I visited his house. That might have been narcissistic bragging, but it's not remotely out of the realm of possibility. I can connect at least 4 members of Trump's cabinet to Gothard. Why not his vice president? Pence also attended First Baptist Church in Indianapolis, which I suspect is involved in Epstein-style trafficking among the GLP, but I'm still working to prove that one. Wow. She has got to get out there with her own documentary to work on some of this stuff. It's crazy to think about how potentially deep some of this could go in different areas of politics. Okay, Brooke goes on to talk about Bill Gothard's response to the documentary Shiny Happy People. Here's what Brooke has to say. So I've become really good friends with the EP of Shiny Happy People executive producer, Corey Stern. It was actually her idea that I do this AMA, thanks Corey, and helped me put it through the pipeline. So she just kind of talks about how she checked in with Corey about doing the AMA. Corey texted me after I was asleep last night and was like, dude, you up? Bill Gothard is threatening us on Twitter, and sent me links to the tweets from Bill's account, but I wasn't awake. I've had nightmares since the documentary dropped in May, so I had already fallen asleep. And I do want to say something here. Brooke has talked about, and some of the other victims and survivors have talked about, that the documentary brought up a lot of really hard feelings for them. Feelings of like, am I going to go to hell because I'm speaking out about this? It's like devastating to hear what they've gone through. Just from, obviously being a part of the IBLP, but then wanting to leave and come forward and talk about their situation has been really hard on them. And that is one of the main reasons why I have been completely disgusted by Without a Crystal Ball's pushback against the documentary. And I will be talking more about that later. But we hear from Brooke here, like, this wasn't easy for her either to come forward and talk about all of this. Okay, so Brooke goes on to say, honestly, this stuff runs deep, and it scared both of us. I'm way outside of my umbrella, and Bill Gothard is calling on his God, the God of my childhood, to curse me. That's scary stuff for your inner child to deal with, if not for your rational, educated mind. Corey prayed for our protection, and it must have worked, since I had my first night of good sleep since the trailer dropped. That is so sad. That's just incredibly sad for me that even like years down the road after leaving the IBLP, this grown woman who seems like outwardly strong and capable still has to be frightened of a God that was created by this man, Bill Gothard, and sold to her parents during her childhood. And it really bothers me when people don't have empathy and sympathy for people who've been through all of this. I woke up this morning totally refreshed. I'm an idealist. So I do believe there are forces and beings and ways of being beyond what I can see. I think our minds are so much more powerful than our imaginations, which have been colonized by so much media. However, I don't think Bill Gothard has unraveled enough of his ego to reach endogenous, magical, or transcendent state. While I do believe there are powers and forces beyond what we can see, even those we all agree on, like gravity, I don't believe in the God of Bill Gothard. Oh my gosh, you have to be so proud of Brooke and all the people who like her who went on the documentary. Please, please, please check out her YouTube page. If all you have is YouTube, go to her YouTube page. But she also has a quite active TikTok account. I'll be posting all the information about that here in the video, and then also underneath the video below. Okay, guys, there are many more questions and answers on the Duggar Snark Reddit page. I'll probably do a video on more of them in the future, but you can go there and check it out yourself, or you can check out Brooke's pages to see what she has to say. But before I end this, I have to tell you about one more question that was asked that really just went to the core of me, guys, because as many of you know, over the past several months, I have been going down a long, dark, twisted, sick rabbit hole. I've wanted to get out of it many times, but I can't because I'm in it. And once I get down into something, I like to research and find out more and more and more until I really feel like I've done the best I can to find out the truth of what's going on. And I have been going down this rabbit hole of why Without a Crystal Ball has decided to make it her life's mission to go after things, in my opinion, like the Shiny Happy People documentary, to pull people down, especially like victims of the IBLP or victims of the AUB. And as I have gone down this rabbit hole, you guys, I have been shocked, like absolutely shocked. How long, how far, how many years, how many different stories, how many different players are involved in all of this nastiness that Without a Crystal Ball has been doing for many years. Someone like me and many other people who exist on these social media platforms don't want to get involved in talking about things from the past, and especially not in talking about Katie Joy's like personal, familial history, things that have come up that she's done in other situations outside of YouTube. But she sure likes to bring them up about other people who she's covering as part of her many stories. In my opinion, she has done some truly awful things to countless people on YouTube. And I was super excited to watch Brooke Arnold stand up against all the shit she's been talking about the Duggar documentary. If you're not aware, I'm going to do a whole other video about this, but she has been talking so much negative shit for a month now, since before the documentary came out. And she's still going. Lots of negative shit about the Duggar documentary. She primarily places all of these posts on her Facebook and on her Instagram because she's aware that people on her YouTube channel may take offense to it. But Brooke's mama didn't raise no fool, because Brooke was highly aware. And whereas a lot of other people from the documentary have chosen to ignore Without a Crystal Ball or just like lightly shade her, I'm looking at Fundy Fridays, who I think has been shading Katie Joy, just my opinion. A lot of people do choose to ignore her because, like in any kind of social setting, we always say, like, if you give someone negative attention, they're just going to feed off of that and love it, and Katie Joy is definitely that person. But I have watched her be ignored by many people and continue to thrive and expand her empire, a dangerous empire, in my opinion, that is causing a lot of harm to really innocent people. So I was super grateful that Brooke spoke out. I believe it was on Instagram. She just made some kind of a post to Without a Crystal Ball saying, like, you don't speak for me, because Katie Joy was just super busy talking a lot of shit about the Duggar documentary and really shading the victims who participated in it. She was criticizing all these people about the documentary and the fact that they decided to include Jim Holt. Without a Crystal Ball was stating that victims of the IBLP do not like Holt. They don't want him involved in the documentary. They're severely offended. And Brooke got up in there and was like, you don't speak for me, and that's not how I feel. Without a Crystal Ball quickly deleted her comments. I think he tried to block her, and Brooke said even like reported her comments to Instagram. And she let everyone know on her own social media page, this is what Without a Crystal Ball has done to me. And then Without a Crystal Ball made her own response. I will make a video about it in the future, but I want you to hear what Brooke had to say on Duggar Reddit when someone said to her, thank you for standing up to Without a Crystal Ball. Here's what Brooke had to say. That caused an avalanche of trouble for me, but I don't regret it for 1 second. No one speaks for me except for me. At this point, I'm just waiting for her to publish one of my mugshots, so I have an excuse to sell them on my website as coasters. Okay, girl. So this has got to be, I don't know everything about this situation, but this already happened with Without a Crystal Ball. She did this in regards to Molly Golightly. I don't know everything about it, but Brooke's like, I'll be there. I'll sell mugshots on my coasters. I don't want to speak ill of anyone, Brooke says. So instead, I'll share with you how much this experience of Shiny Happy People has meant to me. I'm still getting hundreds of messages a day from people that it has inspired. I have so much love and respect for the warrior women at Amazon who manifested Shiny Happy People. For all of us, Corey Stern, Olivia Christ, Bly Faust, and Alicia Russo. They fought for those of us from the IBLP to be given our first major platform to be heard, and it's been so life-affirming for me personally. But I know it's inspiring to so many. I tried to sell a Gothard docuseries, so here we have confirmation. She tried to sell a Gothard docuseries. American Gothard was the name of mine for years. Rejection after rejection. Even bigwig producers who I pitched to told me that it was too dark, you're too angry, no one will watch this. And these women not only believed us, but they knew it would resonate with people like you and far beyond. It's so deeply validating to someone like who was told they were always wrong growing up to be right, that there was something here. It's given me so much more confidence to share my ideas. Oh, that's amazing. Oh gosh. I hope like all of her social media platforms take off. She continues to work with Amazon. She helps with yet another documentary. She is amazing and such a worthwhile person. I hope you guys will definitely check out all of her sites. Okay, for those of you who have been following up with me and you're my amazing subscribers who come to my Facebook page and leave me messages, some of you have even friended me on my personal Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and I just want you to know that I really appreciate and love you guys. We are T-minus, I think it's 3 days now until we leave for Japan. We're flying to Japan with our kids. We'll be there for a few days, and then we are heading back to the United States. I have been so incredibly excited and yet so overwhelmed. I'm tired, my stomach hurts, I'm stressed out, but thank God my kids seem to be, knock on wood, doing really well. We've had a lot of goodbyes this week, but I've been there for every one of them, and I've stood up and I've shown up, even when it was hard to do so, and I've been there for my kids like I always want to be. My son, Jack, both my kids are absolutely amazing, but my son, Jack, had his big goodbye at his preschool this week. Those of you who aren't aware, he's on the spectrum, and he is amazing, like the greatest gift from God, and he was so cool and amazing for his goodbye party. He chose to play this song, his favorite song, Black and Yellow. It's a hip-hop song from the United States that they always play at like the Pittsburgh Steelers game. It was playing in the background. The kids were all dancing around. They did a big goodbye for him. He has so many friends there and just is one of the gang, you know. I hope that we'll find that again elsewhere in the future for him. But I am so grateful to all of you who are here beside me, as I haven't been making, too many videos. I've had so much that I've wanted to say, but I am really focused on my kids. But I love all of you. Keep checking in. I'm gonna make some more videos, especially once we get to the US. I'll probably be losing my mind, and maybe I'll make some videos about the whole moving process. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Please, please check out Brooke. She is such a worthy person. I love all of you, and I'll be seeing you soon down my next rabbit hole.